Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show.
The Spitfire's weapon technology was quickly loaded, and Meng Ze checked the Spitfire's latest stats, and his attack power changed from 20+9 to 50+18. It seems to be the same as the attack power of the Lancer, but in fact, the real attack will be much stronger. After all, one is just a point kill, and the other is a face kill. The Spitfire's attack power problem has been solved. New Spitfires were quickly produced, and Meng Ze experimented with attacks up to a kilometer. It is barely out of the short-handed cripple level. However, in actual tests, it was found that the Spitfire's attack would quickly decay beyond 500 meters. At the farthest point, the attack power is even only one-third, which can only be regarded as making do. Meng Ze arranged all the production plans for biochemical soldiers, and suddenly lost 70 million resources. Then Meng Ze arranged a plan for the production of more than 1,000 tanks, preparing to replenish the number of tanks to 5,000, consuming more than 5 million resources. Robots and manlayers, each replenished with 4,000 units, expanded the number to 5,000 each, consuming 24 million resources. Scientific spacecraft, increased to 2,000, consume resources of nearly 20 million. On the transport planes, many of them are still first class, and Meng Ze sent all the first-class transport planes to be rebuilt, which cost almost 20 million. However, the second-level transport aircraft is indeed much more resistant than the first-level transport aircraft. Just look at the attributes. Transport aircraft, level 2 mysterious, population, 2 units, vitality, 3,000, attack power, 0, defense, 5+5, technology bonus, speed, 250+50, technology bonus, manufacturing requirements, 4,000 units of crystal ore. Description: the airport can be produced after attaching a control tower, no attack ability, used for transportation. The Phantom Fighter, Meng Ze decided to increase its number to 10,000, and as the territory gets bigger, this fast maneuver and simultaneous ground-to-air attack is a good emergency support force. The manufacture of Ghost Fighters is another expenditure of 28 million. As these production schedules went down, Meng Ze's resources were almost emptied again. But after this wave of additions, Meng Ze feels that he should be stable for a while. After a period of output, it is to slowly improve your foundation. One is to upgrade all the first-level basic buildings to second-level buildings, and then build some class buildings in each key location, as a supplement according to their own turf conditions. The second is to gradually use all the mines. The third is to continue to upgrade its own technology. And now Meng Ze has more and more types of technology, which is also a lot of expenses. Meng Ze took a look at his core technology. Core technology: building strength level 6, building armor level 6, individual armor level 6, individual power level 6, individual weapon level 10, biochemical synthesis level 5, stimulant level 5, blinding level 5, heavy equipment power pack level 4, aerospace power package level 5, land-based armor level 4, land-based weapons level 4, space armor level 5, space weapons level 4, fortress mode level 3, long-range detection level 1, nuclear research level 1. The highest individual weapon is already level 10, and it is not far from level 11. As for the rest, the level is still very low. However, Meng Ze is also helpless about this. Although the time to upgrade these technologies is different, but the only common thing is that the time is relatively long, which is not a problem that can be solved with resources. With these things in place, Meng Ze can finally sleep peacefully. As the first boss of the new district, I, Meng Ze, am the top boss. The key point: 320 new district. Zhang Lingling's house. After dinner, Zhang Lingling took an early bath and prepared to read. It's her nightly habit since drinking the unknown liquid at Meng Ze's house. I don't know what it is called. Zhang Lingling has been paying attention to her physical condition, but hours passed, and apart from feeling that the mind seemed clearer, I didn't wait for the abnormality. Meng Ze said, "Brother Bai shouldn't fool us." Right, Zhang Lingling said in her heart, but it doesn't seem right to think about it. First of all, if it is a fool, this word is too easy to debunk, and the gain is not worth the loss. As for whether there is any harm, Zhang Lingling still believes in Meng Ze. Besides, even Hua Wei drank it. Zhang Lingling fully believes in Meng Ze's feelings for Hua Wei, and the love in her eyes is almost overflowing. Forget it, don't think about it, it may take a long time. If there is an abnormality, you can always feel it. Zhang Lingling picked up the English book and prepared to memorize the English words. English is her weakness. The main thing is that her memory is not particularly good, always remembering and forgetting over and over again. In the past, Zhang Lingling always felt a headache when she picked up an English book, because she couldn't remember, and every word seemed to be against her. But today seems a little different. Zhang Lingling found that her mind seemed to be particularly active, and after reading English words 2 or 3 times, she could clearly recall them in her mind. Did you really remember? Zhang Lingling was a little incredulous. She did not rush to verify, but insisted on reading all 20 words in a unit. After repeating it a few times, I felt that I had completely memorized it, so I closed the book and took out a record book to write silently. 3 minutes later, looking at the English words written in their entirety, the surprise in Zhang Lingling's heart was almost exploded. Hurriedly open the English textbook and double-check. The first, correct. The second, correct. 28th, correct. The words that were written silently just now are all correct. I looked at the time immediately and silently calculated it. Deducting the time spent on writing, and checking by yourself, the time to memorize the words in this unit is only 5 or 6 minutes. This is something that she usually can't do for half an hour, or even an hour. In order to rule out the possibility of being mistaken, Zhang Lingling directly found a unit that she had not yet studied, memorizing English words. It's a little longer. 10 minutes later, Zhang Lingling began to write silently. After writing, I checked it, and it was still all right. Could it be that this is the abnormality that Brother Bai said? Strength and memory. Zhang Lingling couldn't contain her excitement, and couldn't help but call Meng Ze. Meng Ze, who had just fallen asleep in bed, looked depressed and wondered which guy was so blind. As a result, when I picked up my mobile phone, it was actually Zhang Lingling's phone. The phone was connected, and Zhang Lingling's extremely excited voice came from inside. Brother Xiaobai, I like you so much. Thank you for the gift you gave me. Calm down, I like Vivi. This straight man-like answer made the excitement of the girl on the other side of the mobile phone stagnate. If she could go directly through the phone, it was estimated that she would come to the door to call someone. Little white brother, you know what I'm talking about, really? Zhang Lingling said coquettishly. Haha, I know, but you whisper. Don't be heard by your parents. Meng Ze hastened to remind the girl. Zhang Lingling took a few deep breaths, and finally felt that she was calmer a little. Brother Xiaobai, didn't you know for a long time? You must have known that, right? Didn't I tell you earlier? Meng Ze is ready to go and vague. No, you said it was to replenish energy. 99. The girl immediately retorted that what Meng Ze said, she remembered clearly, especially at this time, as long as she thought about it. The situation seemed to be vividly remembered. Didn't you? That's fine, you know it anyway. Meng Ze said it didn't matter. Little white brother, let me ask you, this thing can't be a temporary utility, right? With the experience just now, the girl didn't dare to think about how painful it would be if she lost this memory. The girl's words on the phone were all vibrato, and she felt extremely nervous. Fortunately, Meng Ze's words gave her comfort, and the dog-headed bun said that this potion is a kind of genetic agent, and the effect is permanent. The two chatted for a while, mostly young girls telling about the difficult days when they had poor memory. Meng Ze just listened, and picked up occasionally. The call took an hour to end, and even Meng Ze didn't expect the effect of the potion to be so great. In Meng Ze's heart, he just thought that this was just an extract of a second-level brain worm, and there were third, fourth, and fifth levels upwards. Lying back down, Meng Ze thought he could finally get a good night's sleep, but tonight is not destined to be peaceful. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Meng Ze was woken up by the system in his sleep. One look at the information. Your mining area 72 is under enemy attack. Meng Ze was taken aback. This number, the mining area should be relatively south. How can it be attacked here? Meng Ze had the impression that no one around this position should be a threat to him. Quickly enter the interstellar world, bring up the map, and find the location of the number 72 mining area. That's right, the location of the mine is indeed in the southernmost part. Meng Ze switches the screen directly to the building, which is being bombarded by tanks at the base intersection. 2 long-range probes scattered. Outside the base, there are many tanks, biochemical gunners, and some robots. Attacking Meng Ze is a player named Uncle My Cock. Seeing this scene, Meng Ze was almost laughed at. I haven't troubled you yet, but you came to make Lao Tzu a blocker first. Don't look at the vast number of troops outside, and they are also second level, but Meng Ze did not pay attention to it at all. The gap of 647 between the second level soldiers and the second level soldiers is also a world of difference. Meng Ze, who was furious, immediately summoned all the ghost fighters close to the price comparison of base 2. There are almost 4,000, ready to quickly support and teach this guy who does not know the height of the sky and the earth a good lesson. Meng Ze then arranged for transport aircraft to airlift mine wagons and tanks. Each transport can carry 8 min layers and 2 tanks, 2,000 tanks and 8,000 min layers, and all 2,000 transport aircraft are loaded. The transport plane then took off and headed for base 72. On the side of base 72, The intersection is definitely undefended, but there are more than 600 gunmen in this base. These lancers are well used, and they are enough for each other to drink a pot. Meng Ze will let the lancers retreat, and he is ready to abandon the supply depot and fortress at the junction. All these things are under the fire of the opposing tank group, and there is no need to take the lives of the lancers to block the artillery fire of the tanks. Meng Ze has to wait for the moment when the tank switches modes. After the tank changed from fortress mode to normal mode, the attack range was greatly reduced, and it was not much farther than the gunner, even if it wants to be put back on the shelf. This time interval is relatively long. FDF, therefore, under normal circumstances, tank units rely on echelon propulsion to attack. That is, some tanks continue to maintain fortress mode deterrence, and the other part takes the opportunity to change normal mode to advance forward. Wait until the advancing tanks are erected and change to fortress mode, and the tanks in the rear change mode to advance. Such repetition can not only avoid the empty window of tank fire, but also the speed of advance is not slow. However, this method tests the commander's command ability, and improper command is easy to cause chaos in the troops. Meng Ze glanced at his tank phalanx, and felt like this guy was a batter. All tanks are densely erected, not to mention the formation at all. Judging from his erection position, it is basically the kind of fool-like operation of all shelves and all collections. Damn, being attacked by such garbage. Disgusting old man, Meng Ze hummed. Sure enough, Meng Ze's judgment was right. When the supply station at the intersection was detonated by tanks, the tanks in Meng Ze's field of vision began to retract the brackets. Meng Ze took the opportunity to come to a long-range probe, detecting the tanks in range, all performing the same action. This kind of opportunity cannot be missed. All gunners, doping, stormtrooper formations, free fire, command, sting. Meng Ze's lancers were all doped in an instant. Meng Ze's doping has long been renewed, and the doping technology level has reached level 5. After injecting the doping, the speed, accuracy, and firepower of the gunner have all increased a lot. More than 600 lancers rushed out of the intersection, and those lancers who were climbing the hill were immediately hit fiercely. The defense, firepower, and vitality of both sides are all at the same level. Not to mention, Meng Ze also occupies the advantage of the high ground. By attacking, Meng Ze judged that the opposing lancer was at best an elite level. Just this kind of garbage soldier actually took the initiative to do something to me. Who gave you the courage, Liang Jingru? For this kind of fool, Meng Ze really doesn't know how to complain. The lancers on the opposite side fell in rows as if they had been cut wheat, and so far, not a single lancer of Meng Ze has died. The junction was cleared and the lancers poured down in a charging line. At this point, in a command center farther south than base 72, Uncle, my most cock is already jumping to my feet. Watching his spearmen and Meng Ze's soldiers collide, it was like paper paste, and they were dumbfounded. Everyone is a second-level soldier. Why can you be such a dick? That dead mosquito, why don't you give me an explanation? Didn't you say that the opponent only has a few hundred spearmen? Uncle and I dialed a communication and sprayed angrily at the player on the opposite side. I didn't lie to you. Isn't your opponent only a few hundred spearmen? The player's dead mosquito replied unhurriedly. You don't say that the opponent's lancers are as strong. You must know it, right? You yin old man. Uncle, I reacted the most. How could the other party be so kind to send him a mine for him to get it? This is to let himself die. Why am I yin you? The obvious thing, the other party's ability to resist the third level Zerg. That soldier can be weak. You are stupid. You can't blame others. The dead mosquito saw the other party's reaction, and simply tore his face. Are you special? Uncle, I was so angry that I couldn't speak. The dead mosquito hung up the communication directly. Special? If it weren't for someone behind you, Lao Tzu couldn't afford to provoke, and he would have done everything possible to let others destroy you. Lao Tzu would have killed you long ago. Stupid than a thing. The dead mosquito took a bite. This uncle and my most cock simply disgusted him. People are arrogant, and love to make trouble everywhere. But he is also a fool. Logically speaking, such people should have been killed a long time ago. But he has an older brother, who entered the game early called Zicheng District Bastard, who mixed well in the chaotic battlefield, and it is said that he is also a very advanced kind among 4th level players. This bastard got into trouble and was uneven, so he immediately pulled his brother out. Each of these players in the surrounding area had received a warning from his brother. Everyone was afraid that he would be targeted by his brother after ascending to the chaotic battlefield at the 3rd level, so they could only endure it again. Usually, it is a passive defense and beating. Even if it can be beaten, it is not good to fight back. After a long time, Uncle and I are the most stupid than really think that I am an excellent commander. It just so happened that Meng Ze's territory expanded to this side, and the dead mosquito had a plan, and even touted the uncle and my most dick. This fool could not find north. I heard that there was a mine in the north, only a few hundred gunmen defended, and did not do reconnaissance, directly pointed up the soldiers and horses and went up to Meng Ze's base to make a wave. Meng Ze doesn't know what kind of goods I have the most, but from the other party's formation, Meng Ze can also see that this is a garbage product. Meng Ze's ghost fighters had not yet arrived, but unexpectedly, just more than 600 gunmen had blinded the opposite side. In fact, logically speaking, even if the level of the opposite class is not high, but the number is more than 10 times that of Meng Ze. Meng Ze should not be so easy, but the command of the other side is really bad. There is no formation at all in all the various arms. You block me and I block you, and the firepower of the Legion cannot be exported at all. Meng Ze's gunmen always faced only a small number of frontal men, so it looks like the soldiers on the opposite side are vulnerable. Rows of them fall, and the tanks are continuously blown up, which is extremely miserable. Uncle, I am the most to see in the face of this situation. At a loss. Do not know how to deal with it at all. I can only make the Legion retreat, and retreat again, wanting Tilda to run back directly. Meng Ze's Lancer Legion was doped faster than the opponent, and kept following the pursuit, eating the opponent's troops bite by bite. What kind of rubbish is this? Meng Ze simply feels sad for the other side's soldiers. One will be incapable of exhausting 1,000 troops. When I meet such a commander, I really don't know how to die. Commander, you have stranger communication. The other party is my biggest cock. Do you connect? The command center remembered the prompt of the wisdom brain. Let's connect it. Meng Ze was also curious about what kind of fool the other party was. The communication was connected, and Meng Ze could not see the other person's face clearly, and the other party's words flew over. Meng Ze, you can't hit me. Do you know who my brother is? You quickly return the soldiers, and then give me that mine, and I will not count with you. Hearing this, Meng Ze was dumbfounded. If you don't know, you think that the party being hunted down and killed now is me. There are all kinds of birds when the forest is big, but this is the first time Meng Ze has seen such a strange one. Meng Ze only replied with the word roll, and hung up the communication. I don't care who your brother is the Jade Emperor, and I have the final say in the new district. Meng Ze simply feels like a great. How did this garbage survive until now? Uncle, I looked at Meng Ze with only one roll word, then hung up the communication directly, and was stunned for a while before I came to my senses. Am I being scolded? Also hung up my newsletter directly. 5. After reacting, Uncle, I was most angry. For so long in the new district, no one dares to do this to me. Meng Ze, you wait for me, I'll go and call my brother. Hurriedly dialed the communication of the big bastard in Zicheng district. Brother, I'm being bullied. Why does someone in the new district dare to bully you? For his younger brother, the big bastard in Zicheng district is also helpless. Logically speaking, with the technological level of the Imperial Federation, all babies born can be completely guaranteed without defect. His brother had also checked countless times, and everything was normal, but when he did something, it seemed that a tendon was missing in his head. Of course, things are good and bad. The good thing is that in the family, he has been determined to be the heir, and his brother has no threat to him. The downside is that he has to be a good brother, and wipe his brother's ass twice in 3 days. In order to keep my uncle from being killed in the new district, he also specially warned all the people around him before. Does anyone dare to ignore their own warning? The big bastard in Zicheng district frowned. It is said that it depends on the owner to beat the dog, and if he clearly warns that someone dares to ignore it, then the big bastard in his Zicheng district is also ready to teach him a lesson. Don't think that if you can't go to the new district, there is no way. Borrow a knife to kill people, drive the wolf and devour the tiger. These means, he Zicheng district big bastard is not impossible. Tell me, who's bullying you? The big bastard in Zicheng district asked. It's a guy named Meng Ze. He's chasing me now. It's too bullying. Uncle, I was most busy reporting Meng Ze's name. Hearing the other party's name, the big bastard in Zicheng district felt a little impressed, as if he had heard of it somewhere. After thinking for a while, I had no clue, but the big bastard in Zicheng district is not a reckless person. He can mix to this level now, and caution is also an important reason. He first calmed his brother, thought about it, and dialed the communication of another player, the old ghost of Montenegro. Montenegro, have you heard of this man Meng Ze? 117 Theater 320 New Area. The big bastard in Zicheng district asked directly. The old ghost of Montenegro, on the opposite side, has a good relationship with him, and the other party is people who need to be taken care of in the new area 320, which should be more concerned. Unlike himself, although he has a younger brother there, he is basically raised as waste, so he hardly pays attention to it. Meng Ze, I want to think. After all, the new area is separated from the war zone, and although the old ghost of Montenegro is familiar with the name, he did not react for a while. Oh, I know, 320 New Area. Meng Ze, a very fierce newcomer, only 2 levels, can harden the 3rd level relic Zerg. It's amazing. 99. After thinking about it for a while, the old ghost of Black Mountain had an impression. After all, the appearance of a 3rd level relic Zerg in the new area has attracted much attention, and there is still a relic Zerg forbidden area. And Meng Ze, this person, actually relied on 2nd level technology and 3rd level Zerg for several consecutive waves, and all of them won. This incident also caused a small sensation on a small scale. Even he, a 4th level boss, had to express his admiration after seeing the battle report. Why did you ask about him? The old Montenegrin ghost asked. As soon as I heard the old ghost of Montenegro talk about it, the big bastard in Zicheng district also remembered who Meng Ze was, and things were more difficult to deal with now. Hearing the other party's question, the big bastard in Zicheng district said with a headache, "It's not because of my brother, specifically, I don't know what's going on now, but now Meng Ze is beating him." Seeing the expression of the big bastard in Zicheng district, the old ghost of Montenegro expressed sympathy, and anyone who met such a younger brother was very annoyed. Just hung up my friend's communication, and unlocked my uncle's most ****king communication ban. Uncle and my most loud voice came over. "Big brother, have you been listening to what I've been talking about for so long? Don't you want to worry about me? Ah, how can I have such a big brother? I don't even care about the death or life of the little brother. If you can, the big bastard in Zicheng really wants to pull this guy over from the opposite side and give him a good beating. You shut me up, I'm not helping you out." As soon as I heard that the big bastard in Zicheng district said that it was being solved, the uncle and I immediately stopped arguing, but he finally added, "Brother, you want him to apologize to me? Well, and give me that mine. You can't just count it." The big bastard in Zicheng district was speechless in his heart. Now there is no need to ask. The co-author went to rob the mine of the mine himself, and he couldn't grab it and was beaten up. On the big screen, the uncle and my most cocky troops are rapidly decreasing, but he is not in a hurry now. I didn't even bother to do the transfer of troops. Anyway, his brother has said that he will help him solve the problem, and these losses can be made up from Meng Ze. At least that's what my sheet thinks. Uncle, every time his brother promised to help him solve the problem before, he never suffered a loss. The big bastards in Zicheng are still thinking about how to get along with Meng Ze and find it directly. If Meng Ze doesn't even answer the communication, wouldn't it be slapped in the face? Go around, and finally find the dog's head bun. Since Meng Ze became famous for fighting the relic Zerg, the dog-headed bun often talked about his relationship with Meng Ze when chatting with people. There is such an outstanding new district brother or friend, and the dog-headed bun is also honored. Don't look at the dog-head bun is now much stronger than Meng Ze, 647, but with Meng Ze's current development momentum, it is difficult to say the future situation. At least Meng Ze is much more likely to advance to 5 or even higher levels than a dog-headed bun. Now a friend has entrusted himself with the referral to Meng Ze, and he has not elaborated on what it is. Although the dog-headed bun didn't want to care, but he couldn't get around the face, he finally agreed to come down. But I didn't say death. I just said to talk to Meng Ze first. "Big bun, what are the instructions?" Receiving a communication from the dog-headed bun, Meng Ze talks to the dog-headed bun while the gunner's performance. "Brother, someone came to me here, saying that there is something I want to communicate with you. I don't know if it is inconvenient for you." Brother, dog-headed buns are straight to the point. As soon as Meng Ze heard it, he probably knew what it was. "Big bun, what is your relationship with the other party?" When the dog-headed bun heard Meng Ze's words, he immediately understood that there should be a contradiction between the two sides. But think about it, if it is not contradictory, how can it be necessary to let people say hello in advance? "Brother, the person looking for you has nothing to do with me. You just watch and deal with it yourself. I am also entrusted by others. Talk to you in advance. You don't have to consider my position." Meng Ze nodded. As soon as the dog-head bun said this, he had it in his heart, and he would see how the other party planned to compensate later. If the conditions are possible, it is not impossible to stop at that. Not long after the dog-headed bun hung up, a player named Zicheng District Bastard sent a communication. Meng Ze connected and the other party said hello first. "Commander Meng Ze, hello. I'm a big bastard in Zicheng. Zicheng District Bastard Commander, hello. I don't know what you have to do with me." Meng Ze didn't know. The big bastard in Zicheng district doesn't know if Meng Ze knows that he is my biggest brother. But even if you don't know, it's time to guess this situation. However, thinking that the other party is also a strong person, at least in the new district, he forcibly endured the unhappiness and said, "I am the eldest brother of my uncle and my cunt. Listening to my little brother say that you and him have a little unpleasantness. I don't know if Commander Meng Ze is willing to reconcile with this." 5. Oh, it's him. Meng Ze paused and continued, "Reconciliation is not impossible, but let's talk about the conditions first. How about the two sides stop here? The big bastard in Zicheng district thought about it, and felt that his little brother's request was completely unreliable, so he decided to just forget it. No compensation. Meng Ze was stunned. No, we don't want compensation, the big bastards in Zicheng district rightfully said. Meng Ze's face was a little ugly. I specifically asked you what compensation you gave. You actually told me, you don't want compensation. Whose problem is it? In fact, Meng Ze did not understand the mentality of the big bastards in Zicheng district, although the other party took the initiative to find it, but never put himself in a weak position. In the eyes of the big bastards in Zicheng district, no matter how famous you Meng Ze is, it is just a new district player. I am a high-level player, willing to take the initiative to reconcile with you, that is to give you face, and I have not mentioned any conditions. But Meng Ze, on his side, has never considered himself a weak side, even if it is an advanced player on the chaotic battlefield. In his mind, since you have made a mistake and come to seek reconciliation, you must always give some compensation to show your attitude. But you say you don't want compensation, what's the matter? Am I wrong? The thinking of both sides is simply not on the same channel. Before Meng Ze could agree, the big bastard in Zicheng hung up the communication. In his opinion, since he said this matter is certain. I rely on you, bully, right? In the command center, Meng Ze was angry, and he clearly felt the other party's condescending attitude, as if he was giving charity. Lao Tzu wants you to know who I am. Ju Brain, mobilize the satellite station, reconnoiter all the 1,000 kilometers south of base number 72 and find out all the mining areas. Meng Ze yesterday replenished 20 command centers at once, and now close to 20 satellite stations are able to be called. All the energy is sufficient, and there is no problem at all in detecting a sector with a radius of 1,000 kilometers. According to the statistical laws generated in the mining area, the Wisdom Brain arranges satellite stations to use long-range detection. In less than 2 minutes, all the mining areas were found. Mark the mining area, where Uncle and I have the most dick. 8 mining areas on the map instantly turned red. Meng Ze opened up the 8 mining areas one by one and looked at them all. In addition to the main mining area, the defense of other mining areas is a word, a rot. Meng Ze estimated that 100 lancers grabbed a mine, and there was no problem. Then what else is there to say? Just as the ghost fighters and transport planes sent by Meng Ze earlier were also approaching their destination, Meng Ze directly regrouped, and the ghost fighters divided into 1,500 transporters carrying tanks and manlayers to raid the main mine. The remaining ghost fighters intercepted the troops that I had returned from base 72, and prepared to leave no one. The other 500 transport planes were directly divided into 7 formations, and according to the target of attack, the number of 50 aircraft was as small as 50 and as many as hundreds, respectively attacking the other 7 sub-mining areas. Meng Ze is furious, ready to clear this 3.5 mallet out at once. At this time, the uncle and I don't know anything the most, and I still blame his brother vigorously. Big brother, you let me lose in vain. Am I not your own brother? You do this to me. You find me less to do. That Meng Ze is nothing to me, but in the new district, he is also the number one. Why do you say you have nothing to mess with him? The big bastards in Zicheng district are not angry. Big brother, I hit him first, but didn't he have nothing to lose? You look at my troops, there are less than half of them left, and he is still fighting. Uncle, my most cock is just complaining. What? He's still beating you. The big bastard in Zicheng district feels a little wrong. His call with Meng Ze has been over for a while, and it is a matter of seconds to convey a command. Why hasn't the other party's attack stopped? Yes, big brother, you see, he is simply too much. You must compensate him, but also apologize. 1 mine is not good. I want 5 mines. Uncle, I didn't pay attention to my eldest brother's tone at all. You wait, I'll ask again. 99. The big bastard in Zicheng interrupted his younger brother, and dialed Meng Ze's communication again, but after dialing for a few minutes, Meng Ze did not answer at all. The big bastard in Zicheng district was shocked and troubled, which means that there was no talk at all just now. There was no way. The big bastard in Zicheng district had to find someone to pass the word again. After 10 minutes, Meng Ze received another communication from the dog-headed bun. Big guy, have you become a microphone? Meng Ze looked helpless. Brother, I don't want to. This time a few people found me on my head, and I can't say anything. 55. The dog-headed bun had a bitter expression. Big guy, don't have this expression. Your handsome face has been ruined. Meng Ze quipped. Haha. Don't worry, brother, I don't eat by my face. The dog-headed bun released his brows. Haha. 05 smiled. Big guy, I guess it's a little difficult for you to really want to eat with your face. Meng Ze pretended to examine it and said, for Meng Ze's joke. The dog-head bun smiled with relief, Of course he knows what he looks like, otherwise why is it called dog-head bun? Brother, what's going on with you over there? Didn't talk about it just now? The dog-headed bun asked with some doubts. Logically speaking, if the talks collapse, they generally will not look for a second time, isn't it sent to the door to slap in the face? But if the talks are completed, how can you find a second time? Meng Ze talked about the previous conversation with the big bastard in Zicheng district and the dog-headed bun, and the dog-headed bun understood at once. To be honest, the way the big bastards in Zicheng district do things is actually not a special case, and advanced players in the interstellar world generally have such a mentality. Treat low-level players condescendingly, and only peer players are eligible for equal dialogue. There are very few people who are as good at talking as dog-headed buns, but Meng Ze's idea is not wrong. You come to beg someone, why put a stand in front of me? So what are you going to do, brother? Meng Ze looked at the map and his army had already begun to attack. It is estimated that there is still half an hour, 320 new district. There will be no uncle in my most cock, this person. Meng Ze said this lightly, but it made the dog-headed bun shake his heart. Brother, you are trying to offend others to death. I learned about that big bastard in Zicheng district. It's not a good match. It's estimated that if you really want to fight, I don't estimate that I can't take advantage of your bun, brother. The dog-headed bun frowned, saying what he knew. Don't worry, no matter how powerful he is. Can he manage the new district? There's no need to worry at all. But you are going to the chaotic battlefield after all, and it is not a good thing to be remembered by such advanced players all the time. Ha ha, big guy, really on that day, who is worse? I can't tell. Meng Ze is confident. According to previous experience, upgrading the third level command center, their own headquarters mine may have to break out again. Even if it does not break out, as long as the main mine is completely developed, Meng Ze is equivalent to holding more than 1,000 mines, plus some external occupation, then more. With so many mines to promote, then relying on the resource pile, can also pile each other to death. Just have faith. Listening to Meng Ze say this, the dog-headed bun didn't say anything more. Big guy, ask you a question. Answer it if it's convenient, and if it's inconvenient, I didn't ask. Meng Ze thought about it, and felt that although he was confident, he knew that he had won 100 battles, and the general level of the other party still needed to be understood. You asked, big guy, how many mines do you have now? Meng Ze asked. 3 pieces. 39. Meng Ze was speechless. Big guy, don't play with me, if it's not convenient. Forget it. Who played you? I think you just don't learn and have no skills. Don't you know that, when you are promoted to the chaotic battlefield, mines of the same level will merge? The dog-headed bun is not angry. Altogether, not necessarily. The upper limit of a single merger of each mine is 100, and if you have 101 poor mines, it looks like 2 poor ores after the merger, and it looks the same as when 199 pieces are merged. 39. I don't have enough of 100 of each, so the merger is a rich mine, an ordinary mine, a poor mine, and those with super rich ore, or super poor ore, or those with a particularly large number of mines, will be combined into a few. 35. Oh, so it is. Meng Ze understood. You want to know the situation of the big bastards in Zicheng district, right? Seeing Meng Ze nodded, the dog-headed bun said, at my level, in other words, there are about 300 poor mines before the merger. I believe that the big bastards in Zicheng district should be similar. When you get to the chaotic battlefield, there are almost no opportunities to find mines, and even if you do, it is only 1 or 2, and the mines of the chaotic battlefield cannot be absorbed and merged, nor can they be moved. So many times they will become the object of contention, and even cause war. Then there is no other way. So how do you grow and grow? Meng Ze was curious. It seemed that the chaotic battlefield and the new district were fundamentally different things. Of course there is, otherwise you think about why some people will advance, and some people can't even stay at the 3rd level in their lives. The dog-headed bun looked at Meng Ze meaningfully, and said, come on, I believe you will be that minority. What does it mean that you can't even stay at the 3rd level? Meng Ze was about to ask, when he suddenly saw the dog-headed bun's face change. I was about to ask, but I saw the dog-headed bun slap on the door of the head, and said, brother, I patronized and chatted with you, and forgot all the things entrusted by others. 99. Meng Ze then remembered the purpose of the dog-headed bun 650, and hurriedly said, Bun boss, you let him send another communication. I will take it. Okay. That's it. The dog-headed bun hung up here, and within a minute, the communication of the big bastard in Zicheng district dialed over. Meng Ze, what do you mean by that? The big bastard in Zicheng district asked. What do you mean? Did I promise you anything? Meng Ze is not afraid at all. Well, you didn't promise before, but now. The big bastard in Zicheng district was already extremely angry, barely suppressing his anger. Anyway, he had decided that after this encounter, He must make Meng Ze look good. Now, Meng Ze glanced at the map and gave a quirky smile. There's no need to talk about it now. What? Before the big bastard in Zicheng district could react, he suddenly received a message from his brother. Big brother, my mine is all gone. I was also killed by Meng Ze. You have to help me avenge Meng Ze. The big bastard in Zicheng felt endless anger explode from his heart. Whisper, I can hear it. Meng Ze deliberately gouged his ears. Good, 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 you're good, you wait for me. The big bastard in Zicheng district has never been played like this, and at this time, his teeth are about to be crushed. I'm waiting for you to bite me. Meng Ze calmly hung up the communication. His eyes were cold. Hanging up the communication, Meng Ze was getting ready to go back to sleep. Meng Ze didn't pay much attention to the threat of the big punks in the west side. In the new district, Meng Ze has no fear of anyone. Just then, a communication came from Dream Bend Overtaking. Meng Ze asked Jubrain to connect, and saw his little brother opposite him, with an anxious face. Big guy, there is a player named Zicheng District Bastard, who issued a hunt and kill order to you in the war zone. Dream Corners Overtaking Anxious Road. Oh, I see. Hey. Seeing that Meng Ze didn't react, he thought that his big guy didn't know the seriousness of the matter when he dreamed of overtaking, and hurriedly said, Big guy, the big bastard in Zicheng district offered a price, as long as he takes a piece of your mine. He doesn't change owners in a month, he pays 50 million. Yo, it seems a little arrogant. It's okay, everyone play slowly. Meng Ze finally reacted, but it was completely different from what he imagined when he overtook on a dream corner. Dream of overtaking on a bend and then understand that it is not that his boss did not hear, but that he did not care at all. Seeing that the big guy was so calm, the dream corner overtaking also calmed down. Big guy, what have you done, making people angry like this, and even issued a chase and kill order? Dream Bend Overtaking asked curiously. Kill a guy named Uncle and my cunt. It seems to be his brother. Did you rob the mine? Dream Bend Overtaking wasn't sure what it meant to finish off, or maybe he didn't dare to think so. Of course, the mine was robbed, and the people were cleared out. The big guy is awesome. I'll hang up if it's okay. Woke up in the early hours of the morning by a mallet, and after being busy for so long, Meng Ze felt like it was affecting sleep. Dream Bend Overtaking to see that the big guy has no interest in chatting, and disconnects the communication with interest. Turn around and pay attention to the information of various communication channels, screen and summarize, in case the big guy needs, so as to provide it in time. Meng Ze, on his part, saw that he had some money on the books, so he used it for building upgrades according to the previous plan. The stored resources were finally zeroed out again, and Meng Ze withdrew from the interstellar world contentedly. Within a few hours of sleep, Meng Ze woke up, his biological clock on time. But even if he doesn't sleep for a long time, Meng Ze is in good spirits. Had breakfast and looked at the time, 8 o'clock. At this time, Vivi should start the first class. Thinking of his girlfriend, his future wife, who is still in high school, Meng Ze still feels a little dreamy. There used to be a meme on the internet, as long as you work hard to make money, your other half is still in kindergarten. Although this is not so exaggerated, it is still a little strange. But if any girl is still young, wants Meng Ze to let go or something, wants to fart, retracting the gentle smile at the corner of his mouth, Meng Ze enters the interstellar world, where he is just a commander. As soon as he came in, Jubrain gave a lot of prompt messages, all sent by various friends. There are -90 degrees, dog-headed buns, who I die with, kindergarten masters, dream corner overtaking, and even Dream Starry Night Glow. Meng Ze first dialed the call of Dream Star Night Glow, and the big guy's temper was not very good. Sure enough, as soon as the communication was connected, I immediately saw a black-faced Bao Gong. How long has it taken so long? You are out again. Dream Star Night Light is almost angry. This special guarantee has not yet arrived in the day, and the problem has been committed again. Big guy, I'm sleeping. Really? Meng Ze said quickly. Dream Star Night Way will be suspicious. Sleep for so long. You must know that the people of the Imperial Federation not only have an extremely long lifespan, but also can use various technological products. As long as you want, you cannot sleep for a lifetime, and the energy can be completely replenished. Of course, there are also people who do retain instinctive habits. This is a personal choice, and Dreamstar Night Light thought that Meng Ze said this. However, sleeping for dozens of hours can sleep better than a sleeping bear, so Dreamstar Night Light has reservations about Meng Ze's words. Seeing that Meng Ze seemed sincere, Dreamstar Night Light decided to ignore this matter for the time being. What's going on with the big bastard in Zicheng district? Dreamstar Night Light asked. Big guy, it's him who deceives people too much. Meng Ze recounted what happened, emphasizing the attitude of the big bastards in the West End. Dreamstar Night Way was non-committal after hearing this, and was silent for a while before saying, do I need to say hello to you? 35. Big guy, thank you, but no need. If he has any means, I will continue, Meng Ze said nonchalantly. Seeing Meng Ze so confident, Dream Star Nightway looked up at him again in his heart. He is optimistic about Meng Ze, but in fact, Dream Star Nightway is not very willing to mix this matter in his heart. The growth of every commander should not be smooth sailing, only through wind and rain can it grow into a towering tree. The reason why he will mention it is also because the gap between the two sides is too big this time, and he is afraid that Meng Ze will really not be able to withstand his premature death. But Meng Ze's performance impressed him. It's a pity that this guy is just too lazy, otherwise he is really a good seedling. At the end of the Dream Star Night Glow, Meng Ze busily sent a communication to -90 degrees. Meng Ze, I admire you. You can still go out and wander after such a big thing. 90 degrees below zero speaks in admiration. Sleep, Meng Ze said. 90 degrees below zero gave Meng Ze a, I believe you ghost. Look, in these years, who will waste dozens of hours going to sleep, even if there is, it should not be Meng Ze. How did you provoke that Zicheng bastard? He was willing to pay for blood. 90 degrees below zero asked. Just clear his brother out. 35. Saying that, Meng Ze suddenly pondered for a while, and said, you say, will that big bastard in Zicheng district not know how many mines I have? I was stunned at -90 degrees, and suddenly realized that this was probably the case, and it was difficult to know how many mines each person had unless they were investigated on a large scale. Especially like Meng Ze, not only is there a lot of change, but it is also an enclave. Thinking of this, -90 degrees laughed, and the other side seemed to have dug a big hole for itself. If he knew that Meng Ze had dozens of nearly 100 mines, would he dare to make such a profit? 50 million pieces, at least several billion bonuses. I think, since he, Wangless, is so arrogant, I can't save him money. I decided to accelerate the expansion during this period of time, and first clear out all the people in the south who have occupied the Zerg territory mines. Meng Ze said. 90 degrees below zero nodded and said, speaking of this, after the chase and killing order of the big bastards in Zicheng district was issued, the gang of the Northern Alliance and some people in the south jumped very high, and you Meng Ze were described by them as a bully in the 320 new district, shouting and shouting to kill. Haha, this is not just right. You don't even have to find excuses. Bullies don't do what a bully should do. How can you be worthy of this reputation? Meng Ze laughed. Hearing Meng Ze's words, -90 degrees also showed a smile. Interstellar world, if you want to develop, you have to grab mines. Being described as a bully can only show that you are strong enough. Those people still think that this can have any impact on Meng Ze. Can only say, really in a VE? Of course, it may be that those people are just trying to make excuses for themselves, but Meng Ze is not a soft persimmon. You can pinch it whenever you want. The two then chatted about the surrounding situation, especially the problem of the relic Zerg. I think you can knock down the ruins first. What do you think? 90 degrees below zero suddenly said. I think it's okay. The ruins are the fetters of this Zerg, and only by knocking down the ruins can this Zerg completely release itself. Hey, 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 hey. The two looked at each other and smiled. By now, everyone has developed, and the relic Zerg is a nest of leeks in the eyes of the two, the kind that can be harvested repeatedly. So just now, good, just do what you say. Both -90 degrees and Meng Ze immediately began pre-war preparations. Now both of them have part of the main forces, not far from the ruins. For example, Meng Ze's new 3 mining areas number 3, 4 and 5 are the Zerg mining areas in the northeast, east and southeast directions of the original number 1 base. These 3 mining areas, the nearest Zhangdong mining area, are only 600 kilometers away from the ruins, separated by only 1 mine. Now the ruins are heavily defended by the Zerg, and there are densely packed defensive thorns and anti-aircraft spores in the mine, like a hedgehog. But Meng Ze isn't a 650, at most it's just a little more time. Considering that this battle was likely to be a watermill, Meng Ze increased the number of science ships to 5,000. Also added are the anti-aircraft Wagger fighter to deal with Zerg possibility, and long-range air force and suicide bats. Wagger fighter, level 2 mysterious, population, 2 units, vitality, 2,000. Attack power, 100 plus 36, defense, 5 plus 5, technology bonus, speed, 250 plus 50, technology bonus, manufacturing requirements, 6,000 units of crystal ore, description, air superiority fighter, cannot attack the ground, has excellent air combat capabilities, can fire multiple missiles at the same time to cause coverage damage to the target area. The Wagger fighter Meng Ze arranged the production plan for 6,000 aircraft. In addition, Meng Ze continued to replenish 12,000 Lancers, bringing the total number of Lancers, fighting the Zerg to 50,000. On the one hand, he is making a layout against the Zerg, and on the other hand, Meng Ze is also making defensive adjustments to the mining area on his border. Although Meng Ze does not consider it a big threat to the big bastards in the west side, but strategically despise the enemy, and tactically also attach importance to the enemy, Meng Ze not only built defensive structures in the mining area, but also adjusted the layout of troops, and also sent a large number of reconnaissance teams to expand his horizons. These scout teams are also tasked with scouting surrounding mines, and providing intelligence support for Meng Ze's next expansion. On the other hand, Meng Ze plans to expand eastward. On the one hand, it is to expand its own defense circle, and on the other hand, it is also to train its own headquarters, and the territory of the Zerg side in the future. Meng Ze roughly estimated that the number of its mines would swell to at least 400 or more. This plan has a long way to go, and for the time being, it is only considered a long-term plan. After arranging this, a long time passed. Meng Ze was a little empty, and quickly replied to the two younger brothers, who died with me in the kindergarten master. As he expected, the two just saw the situation in the war zone, and sent messages to show concern. I have developed well recently, but in the end, my strength is still weak. The area that Meng Ze set aside for him now accounts for only 1/5, 4 mines, but the 4 newly occupied mines are now operational. On the side of the kindergarten master, Meng Ze did not say anything before, mainly because the kindergarten master did not have much credit in the process of Meng Ze fighting against the relic Zerg. However, Meng Ze considered that they were all his own little brothers, and the other party saw, who I had died with after receiving the goods, and he got closer and closer to his big brother. Taking advantage of this call, I also drew a direction for him. However, it is not the territory of the Zerg, but the territory of the players south of the kindergarten master base. With a big wave of his hand, Meng Ze dispatched 2,000 ghost fighters to his command. This batch of fighters, a FDF, seems to be a small number, but when used well, the combat power is more than 10,000 ordinary second-level ghost fighters, coupled with the strength that the kindergarten masters have accumulated themselves. As long as they are not stupid, it is impossible to defeat the players in the south. As for the territory, how much he can get depends on his own skills. I ended up with whom to deal with the kindergarten master, and Meng Ze contacted the dog-headed bun again. Brother, I saw the chase and kill order issued by the big bastard in Zicheng district, the dog thing. Oh, to bully the small. I will give him some color on this side of the chaotic battlefield to see. The dog-headed bun was indignant, and very dissatisfied with the practice of the big bastards in Zicheng district. Haha, big guy, no need. I see that he is so rich. Wait for him to send it. Meng Ze laughed. It doesn't matter if the dog-headed bun will act, or not, but this attitude makes Meng Ze feel very comfortable. To talk about the relationship, the bun boss is the closest to him, and in this regard, even the dream brother is a little worse. Brother bun, I'm not empty words. There will be a resource grab war in a few days. I dare not say how much he will lose, but it's still okay to add a little blockage to him. The dog-headed bun said with a serious face. Big guy, I thank you, but really don't need to. Wouldn't you have a vendetta with the big bastards in Zicheng district like this? This time I took the initiative to provoke it. You don't need to mix it in. Meng Ze persuaded. It doesn't matter. The dog-headed bun waved his hand. Seeing what Meng Ze still wanted to say, the dog-headed bun hurriedly said, Brother, you don't need to say. After the fight, send you a video. As for the vengeance, senior players who don't have a few enemies, it's not a thing. And it's not the bun brother blowing. Among the 4th level players, there are not many people who are willing to make a grudge with me. Ha ha ha. At the end, the bun boss showed a rare hint of domineering. The big guy is awesome. Meng Ze instantly incarnated as Manhwa. After chatting with the dog-headed bun for a while, refusing the resource sponsorship of the dog-headed bun, the two hung up the communication. With such a friend as a dog-headed bun, Meng Ze was in a very happy mood, and the dream corner of connecting the communication could be seen at a glance. Boss, what's so good, so happy? How can this kind of thing be said? Can it be said that you have found a big guy who really covers yourself? Nothing, all the best in the mood. Meng Ze said casually and asked, what's the matter with me leaving a message? Boss, I have collected some lists to slander you, and this will be sent to you. In fact, this list is of little use to Meng Ze, because he and the new plan of -90 degrees will basically wipe out players on both sides of the Zerg territory. But the little brother's wishes, Meng Ze still accepted. Your mining area over there doesn't seem to be developing fast. Meng Ze was talking about the 20 mines he gave to Dream Ben to overtake. After such a period of time, only 5 mines were opened. Hearing Meng Ze say this, my heart was full of tears when I dreamed of overtaking on a corner. Big guy, not everyone is the same as you. There are so many resources to use, and their current output in a day is just like this. Seeing the bitter expression of overtaking on the dream corner, Meng Ze realized that he dealt with the big guys every day and forgot the gap between ordinary players and them. It seems that the dream corner overtaking may not be able to catch up with your own plans. I originally thought of playing the southern player, and I could also let the dream corner overtake to pick up a wave of cheap, but now, I don't know if the time will come. After roughly talking about his next plan with Dream Bend overtaking, the little brother understood it, and immediately went to help the big guy collect the information of those players' mine tilde area, but Meng Ze's own reconnaissance won't stop, either by doing both. The production of the Wagret fighter has been completed, and the production of the technology ball has been completed, because some of it is produced at the airfield on the headquarters side, so it will take some time to fly over. However, Meng Ze's infantry regiment has now begun to form and prepare for operation. Meng Ze did not intend to press all his forces to the Zerg mine, in the direction of the ruins, and it was not necessary to attack a single mine. After all, the territory outside the mine was limited, unless it was a field battle. However, according to the current situation, it is estimated that the Zerg do not dare to come out and fight a field battle with Meng Ze. This time Meng Ze had 4 goals. The first is the Meng Ze 3 mine directly east, tentatively numbered the Zerg Base 1 mine, which is also the most heavily defended area of the Zerg today. Meng Ze previously thought that the water grinding war was most likely to occur in this mining area. The second base is in the Bug 2 base mining area, directly east of Meng Ze 4 base, which is located a little farther away from the ruins than the Zerg 1 base, but it is also a gateway to the ruins. The third base is due east of base 5, and the Zerg have only a small amount of defense, seemingly ready to abandon this base at any time. Meng Ze attacked here to occupy the mining area, and the other purpose was to see if he could use this base to mobilize the Zerg forces. The fourth base is northeast of base 3, and laying this base Meng Ze may cut off the connection between the ruins and the northern mining area at any time. According to -90 degrees, the ruins are like a small world. The Zerg's insect colony land network cannot penetrate the ruins. Once Meng Ze cuts off all its road to the north, the Zerg in the ruins become an urn to catch turtles, and there is no escape. With Meng Ze's current strength, he is not prepared to fight 4 mining areas at the same time. Meng Ze was divided into 3 routes, with 25,000 gunners in the center, 4,000 Spitfires, 3,000 medics, 2,000 tanks, 3,000 science ships, and 5,000 Wagret fighters, some of which were still on their way. The initial task of this main force is to deter the Zerg No. 1 base and prevent other roads from suddenly deploying a large number of troops to support when they attack. On the road to fight the Zerg No. 4 base, there are 15,000 Lancers, 3,000 Spitfires, 1,000 medical soldiers, 1,000 scientific spaceships, and 5,000 ghost fighters. This main force, the advance force, first moved to the vicinity of base number 4 to stand by, waiting for operational instructions. Go down the road to hit the Zerg No. 3 base first, and after taking it, go up to attack the Zerg number 2 base. This way, there are 10,000 gunners, 1,000 Spitfires, 1,000 medical soldiers, and 1,000 scientific spaceships. In addition to Meng Ze's side, -90 degrees also mobilized nearly 100,000 troops at the same time to attack the 3 Zerg bases east of the ruins. Once both sides have achieved their strategic objectives, the Zerg relics are basically completely isolated. However, like Meng Ze, the mining area, where the Zerg can go north, will also be left for the last attack, forcing the Zerg to make a choice. Of all the arms, the biological and chemical units are the slowest to move, and if they all move on the ground, it will take 8 or 9 hours for all these main forces to reach the attack position. But fortunately, Meng Ze's military operations are basically based on airlift. At the speed of transport aircraft, in more than an hour, these troops can complete the preparation for attack. Meng Ze's massive troop movements are impossible to hide from the eyes of the Zerg. However, Meng Ze's action this time was originally justified, and even deliberately let the Zerg know his goal. This process is also putting pressure on the Zerg. After communicating with -90 degrees, Meng Ze launched an attack at the same time at Zerg Base 1 and Zerg Base 3. Zerg Base 3 is the target that Meng Ze decided to take in the first wave. The defense of this base itself is not very sufficient. There are only a few air defense spore buildings, and the troops are small, and it is mainly based on berserk jumping insects, a small number of multi-beetle snakes and thunder beasts, and only a dozen scorpions. Meng Ze wanted a quick victory, and some transport planes and science ships directly added a defense matrix to forcibly storm the mine. Asking for flowers. Relying on airborne biochemical soldiers to attract firepower, The first wave radiates all the scorpions. As soon as the scorpion died, although some of the mining area was still covered by the dark insect swarm it had cast before death, Meng Ze's subsequent airdropped gunners stood directly in a corner of the mine, relying on the defense matrix imposed by the science spacecraft. The biochemical soldiers resisted the Zerg attacks and attracted a large number of Zerg troops. Fighting in this position, Meng Ze's Spitfires shine with dazzling brilliance again. The battlefield itself is very small, and more than 100 Spitfires are holding the defensive matrix and spraying iron flames in front of the battle. The death of the Zerg troops, especially the berserk jumping insects, is even more vulnerable. Originally, the berserk jumping bug was fast, difficult to aim, easy to get close, and the attack power was also good, which can be regarded as a gunner's nemesis, 0, but in the face of such an unreasonable large-scale attack as a Spitfire, the berserk jumping worm could not rush far in the flames, and was burned into char. As fierce fighting broke out inside, the remaining troops began to forcibly storm the intersection. Under the internal and external attacks, the Zerg mining area soon crumbled. Compared with the fierce exchange of fire at Zerg Base 3, Base 1 is a little painless. The science spacecraft is against the defense matrix, and the position is in the front, except for the berserk jumping insects and multi-armored spiny snakes that are not worth anything, and the other Zergs, as long as they show their heads, come one by one. The Zerg tried to drive these science ships several times, but when they saw the thousands of Wagger fighters around them, they retreated. On the ground, Meng Ze's tank was only halfway deployed. 2 echelons of 200 vehicles each are lined up at the frontal intersection, 10 kilometers apart from each other, slowly bombarding the defensive ground thorns at the Zerg intersection and along the perimeter of the Highland mine. There are 3 additional positions, relying on the vision of the science spacecraft bombarding all the buildings that can be hit on the Highland. In the mine, the Zerg just used the dark bug swarm skill to cover the junction and the edge of the high ground and delay time. Meng Ze can't do much about this kind of response of the Zerg. As soon as the fog opens, the tank basically misses the hit, and for the Zerg building, the splash damage of the tank can only be said to be better than nothing. However, with such a large legion of Meng Ze outside, the Zerg did not dare to mobilize the troops in the mining area, so as not to be taken advantage of. The battle at Zerg Base 3 ended quickly, except for the initial wave of forced assault. The whole battle appeared calm after entering the mining area. After Base 3, Meng Ze left a small number of engineers to begin building simple fortifications, and the main forces began to transport north to prepare for the attack on Zerg Base 2. Taking advantage of this gap, Meng Ze switches the map to the minus 90 degrees side. 90 degrees below zero was now raging on the other side, and when Meng Ze looked over, the two sides were fighting fiercely at the intersection. The science ships in the sky are constantly falling, and the science ships on the Zerg side of minus 90 degrees are not limited to the Zerg scorpions. Throughout the intersection, thunder beasts, multi-legged lurkers, queens of the sky, and even the Zerg Air Force flying dragon appeared, many of them with a unique miserable green radiation on their bodies, and screams continued. Maybe it's not enough pressure on yourself, Meng. 660, Zishin said, although he laid down the Zerg number 3 base. That place was obviously not the focus of the Zerg defense. Both Zerg Base 1 and Base 2 can be said to be the gateway to the ruins, but Base 1 is significantly closer. Where exactly to attack first? Meng Ze was lost in thought. Long-range detection constantly falls on Zerg Bases 1 and 2, and the layout of the Zerg defense inside is clearly seen by Meng Ze. It is clear that the defense of the Zerg 1 base is much stronger, but playing Base 2, the threat to the Zerg relics is not so sufficient. As long as Base 1 exists, the ruins are equivalent to having a strong guard, and anyone who attacks the ruins will worry about being pinched back and forth. After much thought, Meng Ze decided to make a wave of achievements and directly hit the strongest number 1 base. The plan determined that in order to match the entire strategy, the transport aircraft flying to Base 2 put all the biochemical soldiers down and advanced in a ground marching mode. In this way, Meng Ze gives the Zerg a mental hint that he will still attack Base 2, and also to delay time, waiting for the Wagger fighters and science ships from the headquarters. 5 or 6 hours passed, and there was no movement on Meng Ze's side, and a communication came from the minus 90 degree side. Meng Ze, when do you start over there? I'm under too much pressure here. A little unbearable. 90 degrees below zero. It seems that the Zerg have not developed much in the north, and they have actually increased so many troops. Meng Ze said heartily. There are still 2 hours or so. You insist on it. What's your plan? Looking at Meng Ze, even saying the time is relatively certain, minus 90 degrees knows that he must have some plans. I'm waiting for my Wagger fighter and science ship to prepare to attack the Zerg 1 base and build a wave of achievements. 35. Meng Ze sent his numbered base location number 1 to minus 90 degrees, and when he looked at -90 degrees, he understood Meng Ze's thoughts. You're so risky, in case your side loses too much, aren't you afraid that the Zerg will fight you back? Ha ha, isn't there still you? Meng Ze laughed. In fact, Meng Ze is not worried in his heart, even if this adventure fails. He can still quickly replenish his troops, and the daily resource of more than 400 million is no joke. At this time, Meng Ze's family arranged a manufacturing plan for 10,000 lancers, and only relying on the biochemical arsenal, built on this side of the Zerg territory, it could complete production in a little more than an hour. The huge fuselage of the Wagret fighter streaked through the long sky, and this kind of fighter, that looked like a mace with wings, was known as an air arsenal aircraft. Wagger carries only one weapon, a high-explosive air-to-air missile, which, when exploded, can cover a large area with shrapnel. If a large number of missiles explode in pieces, it can block almost the entire sky. This is the strongest air war weapon in turn second-level technology. On the side is a round scientific spaceship, although the science spacecraft is called a ship, but it looks less like a ship, more like a ball. All also have a common name called Science and Technology Ball. There are many long antennas sticking out around the science spacecraft, which are used for detection, emit radiated waves, emit EMP electromagnetic pulses, and apply defense matrices, with different functions. It's like a ball has a lot of sea urchin spines, but the number is still far less than the sea urchin. With the arrival of the main forces of air combat, Meng Ze's side also entered the countdown to the attack. First, send a ghost fighter to clear the hosts along the Zerg base 2 and 3, and remove the Zerg's vision. The transport plane quickly loaded the biological and chemical soldiers, who were originally rushing on the ground, took the science spacecraft, and quickly made a detour and flew to base 1. When the figure of the transport plane appeared over base 1, Meng Ze quickly ordered, "Command the science ship to load the defense matrix for 1,000 Wagret fighters and transport aircraft ahead." Assault. Thousands of Wagret fighters took the lead in attacking. Dense missiles suddenly covered the sky, and countless self-detonating bats that were originally swimming over the base were suddenly hit fatally. The anti-aircraft spores on the ground of the Zerg continued to fire, crackling, on the defensive matrix of the Wagger fighter. Trailing behind, the transport fleet and science ship spacecraft quickly followed. Countless biochemical soldiers fell from the sky, and the entire Zerg mining area was full of wars. The fog of the scorpions continued to bang and explode, dyeing the entire mining area a yellow-red color. The biochemical soldier in the fog suddenly became a lamb to be slaughtered and suffered heavy losses. However, these biochemical soldiers are all baits that attract firepower. Wagret fighters clear the sky from suicide bats and queens, attracting the attack of anti-aircraft spores. Biochemical soldiers attract ground multi-armored spiny snakes and other firepower that can be used against air troops. And a whole 4,000 scientific spaceships are the ultimate striking force. In the Zerg base, not only scorpions, but also thunder beasts, multi-legged lurkers, and even some multi-armored thorn snakes were hit by the radiation of scientific spacecraft. A large field of miserable green radiation could not even block the fog of the scorpion. In particular, the radiation waves of scientific spacecraft also have conductivity, although the conductivity is not strong, but it cannot stand a large number. The entire Zerg base was in chaos. However, on Meng Ze's side, the losses were also very large, and the nearly 10,000 biochemical troops airborne on the ground all became victims of the Zerg vent. A large number of anti-aircraft spore 3.5 firepower, even the Wagret fighters against the defense matrix, were continuously destroyed. At the junction of base 1, 1,000 tanks that did not deploy the fortress mode began to advance forward. The Zerg are bound to come to their aid quickly. That's to be expected. But before the arrival of Zerg support, because the Scorpions are almost all irradiated by the science spacecraft, there will inevitably be a vacuum period without Scorpions. Meng Ze's tanks must fight to knock out the Zerg's insect nets during this time, although it was only a short distance away. In order to buy even a few minutes, Meng Ze also used transport planes to drop tanks and biochemical gunners directly onto the high ground of the Zerg mine. The roar of the high underground tanks did not stop. The shells rained down, and as long as there was a gap in the Zerg fog, all the buildings and insects were blown to flesh and blood. Meng Ze stared seriously at the fog above the insect colony net, silently counting down in his heart. The fog above the insect colony net has not yet disappeared, and insect swarms have begun to gush out from the mouth of the cave. This made Meng Ze's heart beat a beat slower, and he felt his heart feel cold. Fortunately, the first wave was just a berserk jumping bug. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Meng Ze was anxious, and the storage of the insect colony net was too critical. At this moment, the head of a scorpion appeared at the exit of the insect colony net. It's over, Meng Ze sighed inwardly. As long as the scorpion appears and saves the insect breeding net, Everything Meng Ze has done before, not to mention the previous achievements, at least have to be repeated or even countless times. That's tens of thousands of troop losses. However, there is no way out. At this moment, the fog above the insect colony net suddenly dissipated. Meng Ze's eyes lit up, gathering fire, almost with a roar. The tank group that has long been aimed at the insect colony ground net, and at the same time fired artillery. Boom! The entire highland mine seemed to be shaken. The insect breeding ground net, that was the target, along with the scorpions that had not yet fully emerged, suddenly disappeared. Taking down the insect colony net represents a complete failure of the Zerg's delaying 0-5 tactics. The biological and chemical forces in front of the Meng Ze intersection began to attack head-on. The Spitfires, still holding the defensive matrix, were in front, advancing rapidly in dense formations. The jumping sound of biochemical soldiers, armor stepping on the hard ground. The crackling sound of ultra-high temperature flames burning the Zerg, the screams of the bugs, and the dense whoosh sound of the biochemical spearmen popping up are the best music at this time. Meng Ze almost collapsed in the commander's seat. It was too exciting just now. If it were 2 or 3 seconds at night, the result would be completely different. Even if Meng Ze can still radiate the ray emerging scorpions, under the protection of the scorpion dark swarm skills, as long as the insect colony ground net is still there, there will be a steady stream of support. As long as the scorpion is still around, the air defense spores in the Zerg base will always survive. With these fixed anti-aircraft fire, with every assault radiation of Meng Ze, a large number of air troops are lost. Fortunately, although the process was thrilling, it was successful in the end. At Zerg Base 1, the balance of victory and defeat has completely tilted in Meng Ze's side. In the end, all that remains is to clear the remnants of the base. The defeat of Base 1 obviously had a huge impact on the Zerg. On the -90-degree side, the Zerg, who were originally in a strong position, constantly oppressing the -90-degree mixed core, suddenly retreated on a large scale. Soon they all retreated to the highland mines, relying on the scorpion fog to block the intersection. The sudden change startled -90 degrees, and he knew that Meng Ze must have made progress. Sure enough, within a few minutes, Meng Ze sent a message: the Zerg Base 1 has been breached, and only the final clearance remains. 90 degrees below zero. Return to communication. Meng Ze, the Zerg on my side have begun to block the intersection. It seems that they are preparing to delay time. What next? 90 degrees below zero asked. My side takes the Zerg 2 base, and your side knocks down the 2 further south. I believe that by this time, the Zerg will not need to hold on any longer. After taking these 3 mining areas, the troops will slowly advance from the ground, and the Zerg will understand what we mean. If we don't understand this, then we have to teach it to make worms again. Winning the crucial victory, Meng Ze's tone of voice also rose. Okay, that's it. In order to make the Zerg more aware of their intentions, Meng Ze even retreated the troops outside the Zerg base 4 back tens of kilometers. Meng Ze's movements, the host in the high air can naturally see clearly. As Meng Ze's troops moved to the Zerg number 2 base, among the ruins, the core leader of the Zerg race, the brain worm, was also struggling fiercely. The Zerg was able to break free and thrive in the outside world, which was what he wanted. Although there are now 2 strong opponents, the Zerg have basically not encountered decent resistance in the north, and there is still a chance to develop and grow. But the ruins also don't want to let go. If it's just an ordinary ruin, but in this ruin, there is something crucial, a diamond-shaped spar, that is missing a small half. What this diamond-shaped spar represents, the brain worm does not know, but its naturally unusually keen intuition tells it that this thing is extremely important. Not only that, but good things occasionally pop up around this diamond-shaped spar, such as crystal sources. This is an ultra-high concentration of resources, and a fist-sized crystal element is equivalent to 10 million crystal ore. But unfortunately, this thing cannot be taken away. This spar emitting multicolored light, suspended in the void on a circular platform, seemed to be easy to move. But even when the Thunder Beast collided, this spar could not be shaken in the slightest, and the Thunder Beast was directly shocked into flesh by the force of the counterattack. Images of the mine at war with Meng Ze are teleported by various Zerg classes, hosts, and even buildings. Such a large amount of information. If it were a human brain, it is estimated that it would have exploded long ago. But the brainworm still processes this information with ease. It's easy to straighten out all kinds of information and reconstruct all the images of the battlefield in your mind. This is the power of brainworms, comparable to super biological computers. However, the speed of information processing does not fully represent intelligence, so the command of brainworms will still make mistakes. Players have always thought that brainworms can only command wars through their hosts. Actually, this is a misunderstanding. The commands of the 663 brainworm can reach even the lowest level of combat units. It's just that if you want to rampage the jumping worm, although it is cheap, but the brain capacity is too small, if it is difficult to directly convey instructions, you can only understand simple instructions. Therefore, when the Zerg do not have a dormitory, the attacks of low-level soldiers often charge brainlessly. The existence of the host is more like a cloud server, which can interconnect the brain domain capacity of all the Zerg on the battlefield, so that low-level Zerg can understand complex commands. This is why the host is mistaken by players for battlefield command. As the battle situation at Zerg Base 2 got worse and worse, the brain worm began to writhing uneasily. Is treasure important or life important? This is actually a not difficult choice. At the entrance of the ruins, there is an entrance to the insect colony network built by the Zerg. Out of the ruins, the brain worm can choose the place where it appears. Go now, safety is still guaranteed. But if you wait until the human troops advance to the gate of the ruins, the brain worm is basically a dead end. After making a choice, the brain worm wriggled its fat body, and there was a special colony drag. It took a lot of effort to move from the depths of the ruins to the door. Before entering the insect net, the Zerg also looked back deeply. That spar, it really can't bear it.
Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.